What if the reason you're exhausted, injured, and stuck isn't that you're not trying hard enough, but because you're trying too hard in the wrong moments? Most runners never see this mistake. Once you do, you can't unsee it, and it changes everything. Most runners believe the same thing, even if they've never said it out loud. If you want to run faster, if you want to go farther, then at some point it has to hurt. More miles, more intensity, more suffering. That's the unspoken rule of running. But here's a question that should make you uncomfortable. What if that rule is the very reason you're stuck? What if the fatigue you carry, the injuries that keep coming back, the feeling that you're always working hard but never really improving? What if none of that is because you're weak, undisciplined, or not trying hard enough? What if it's because you're trying too hard in the wrong places? Most runners are unknowingly trapped in a system that rewards effort, note rather than aggress. Every run feels productive, every session feels earned, and yet year after year, the results barely change. Not because the body refuses to adapt, but because it's never given the right signal. RunForce Mindset welcomes you. If you care about running smarter, staying healthy, and unlocking real performance, not just surviving workouts, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what comes next. In this video, we're going to challenge one of the deepest beliefs in running. Not with motivation, not with hype, but with a perspective that feels almost dangerous at first. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Before we go on, answer this in the comments. A, getting better at running means pushing harder, more often. B, getting better at running means learning where not to push. Comment A or B below, and let's see how you think. Why most runners stall? If the idea that trying harder might be holding you back made you pause, then this next part will likely feel uncomfortably familiar. Most runners don't fail because they lack discipline. They fail because almost every run lives in the same uncomfortable middle ground. Not easy enough to recover from, not hard enough to truly improve anything, just hard enough to feel like work. Day after day, that effort adds up, not to progress, but to quiet exhaustion. You wake up feeling heavier than you should. Paces that once felt manageable start to feel strained. Small aches linger longer. And without realizing it, you begin to associate running with constant effort instead of enjoyment. That's usually when motivation starts to fade. This pattern doesn't come from ignorance. It comes from pressure. The pressure to make every run count. The pressure of watching others log faster times. The pressure of seeing data on your watch and feeling like anything slow must be wasted. But here's the truth, most runners never hear. Your body doesn't respond to effort alone. It responds to clarity. When every run sends the same mixed signal, your body adapts to nothing in particular. This is where most runners stall, not because they're doing too little, but because they're doing too much of the same thing. Section 1, the power of easy running. And once you recognize that constant moderate effort is the trap, the next question becomes unavoidable. What does running correctly actually feel like? For many runners, the idea of truly easy running feels almost wrong. Slowing down feels like giving up ground, like admitting weakness, like choosing comfort over progress. But that reaction says more about how we've been conditioned than about how the body works. Easy running is not a downgrade. It's a strategic shift. When you run at an effort that feels calm and controlled, your body enters a state where adaptation becomes possible. Muscles learn to produce energy efficiently instead of urgently. The cardiovascular system becomes better at delivering oxygen without stress. The nervous system stays relaxed enough to allow recovery instead of constantly sounding the alarm. This is the effort level where you can run more often without accumulating hidden fatigue, where soreness fades instead of stacking, and where consistency becomes natural rather than forced. Perhaps the most misunderstood part of easy running is this. It doesn't make you slower. It removes the brakes that constant strain quietly applies. When every run is demanding, your body stays defensive. When some runs are genuinely easy, your body finally feels safe enough to improve. Easy running also reshapes your relationship with training. Instead of measuring success by how exhausted you feel, you begin to measure it by how sustainable your week becomes. Runs stop stealing energy from the rest of your life. They start giving it back. This is why experienced coaches protect easy days so fiercely. Not because they underestimate effort, but because they understand timing. Easy running builds the foundation that allows harder efforts to actually matter later. At first, this shift feels subtle, almost too simple to be powerful. But over time, it becomes the difference between runners who are constantly fighting their training and runners whose fitness quietly compounds. Section 2. Building a simple weekly structure. Once easy running gives your body room to adapt, the next step is giving that effort a clear direction instead of letting it drift. Progress doesn't come from doing more random miles. It comes from structure, where each run has a role, and no run is asked to do everything at once. Without that structure, even good intentions dissolve into noise. A well-built week is surprisingly simple. Most runs exist to support the system, not challenge it. They keep blood flowing, reinforce movement patterns, and maintain consistency. Then there is one run that lasts longer than the rest. Not faster, just longer. That added duration creates a deeper signal, asking the body to become more resilient, more economical, and more patient under load. And then, on the opposite end of the spectrum, there is one run that asks for intensity, not chaos, not exhaustion, just a brief, focused exposure to effort that reminds the body how to move with power and purpose. This is not about proving toughness, it's about sharpening the edge without dulling the blade. What makes this structure work is separation. Easy days stay easy, longer days stay controlled. Hard days are limited and intentional. When each run knows its job, your body stops guessing and starts adapting. This clarity also changes how training feels mentally. You no longer wake up wondering how hard today should be. The decision has already been made. That removes friction, reduces stress, and frees energy for execution, rather than debate. Structure doesn't restrict freedom, it creates it. It allows progress to emerge quietly, week after week, without demanding constant sacrifice. And for most runners, this is the first time training stops feeling like survival and starts feeling like momentum. Section 3, the progression rule. Most runners break. And once structure brings order to your week, the next mistake becomes easier to see: how most runners try to progress. Progress is often treated like a test of ambition. Add more distance, add more intensity, stack both together, and hope the body keeps up. For a short while, it might then something quietly breaks, energy dips, motivation fades, or an injury appears without warning. The problem isn't the desire to improve, it's the misunderstanding of load. Every run carries a cost. Longer runs increase total stress. Harder runs increase intensity stress. When both rise at the same time, the body doesn't adapt, it defends. And the defense looks like stagnation or breakdown. Sustainable progression is built on restraint. You choose one lever to pull at a time. Either you extend how long you run, or you deepen how hard you run, but never both in the same phase. That single decision creates space for adaptation instead of chaos. This approach requires patience, and patience can feel uncomfortable when motivation is high. But this is where long-term runners are separated from short-term grinders. They don't chase progress. They create conditions for it. Progress isn't about pushing the ceiling higher every week. It's about raising the floor so the ceiling eventually moves on its own. And when progression finally slows down and feels controlled instead of frantic, it creates space for the most misunderstood part of training to do its work. Recovery is not the absence of effort. It is the phase where effort becomes progress. Every run sends a signal to the body, but that signal means nothing on its own. Adaptation only happens when the body is allowed to respond. Without recovery, training remains noise, stress without direction. With recovery, the same stress becomes information the body can use to rebuild stronger. This is where many runners struggle emotionally. Rest can feel like falling behind. A lighter day can feel unearned. But fitness does not grow through constant stimulation. It grows through rhythm, stress, release, adaptation. True recovery is layered. It shows up in sleep that feels deeper, in nutrition that restores rather than restricts, in easy movement that encourages circulation instead of adding fatigue. And on a larger scale, it shows up in planned pullbacks, periods where volume drops, intensity softens, and the body is allowed to absorb weeks of work. These lighter phases are not setbacks. They are turning points. They are often where progress finally reveals itself. The runners who last are not the ones who train the hardest. They are the ones who understand when to step back so their bodies can step forward. Section 4. Run better, not just more. When recovery is finally respected, something subtle but powerful begins to emerge. Your running starts to feel lighter without you trying to force it. This is where running better, not more, comes into focus. A resilient body moves efficiently. Strength and conditioning are not separate from running. They shape how well your body handles impact and returns energy with each step. When muscles are strong and stable, they absorb force instead of leaking it. When the core is engaged, movement becomes coordinated rather than chaotic. The run stops feeling like a series of collisions and starts feeling like a flow. Alongside strength comes awareness of movement. Not perfection, but attention. How tall you carry yourself, how relaxed your arms remain under fatigue, where your foot lands in relation to your center of mass. These details don't demand more effort. They reduce waste. The most surprising part for many runners is that efficiency often feels slower at first. The body resists change before it accepts it. But over time, these adjustments compound quietly. Pace improves without added strain. Fatigue arrives later. Control lasts longer. This is the layer of progress that doesn't show up immediately on a watch, but it changes everything underneath. Running becomes less about surviving the session and more about expressing the fitness you've built. Efficiency isn't a gift reserved for talented runners. It's the result of intention, patience, and respect for how the body prefers to move. And when efficiency becomes part of how you move, the bigger picture finally comes into focus. Progress in running rarely comes from dramatic breakthroughs. It comes from alignment. When effort, structure, recovery, and movement all point in the same direction, improvement stops feeling like a fight. It becomes something that unfolds. This is the shift most runners never experience. They keep searching for the next harder workout, the next ambitious plan, the next burst of motivation. But lasting progress isn't built on intensity alone. It's built on decisions that look small in isolation, yet compound over time. Running is easier when it matters. Training with intention instead of emotion, allowing recovery to complete the process rather than interrupting it. Paying attention to how the body moves, not just how fast it goes. None of these changes demands more courage or toughness. They demand awareness. And that's the quiet power of this approach. You don't need to prove anything to run. You don't need to suffer your way forward. You simply need to give your body the conditions it needs to adapt. So if there's one thing to carry with you from here, let it be this. Improvement isn't about pushing harder into resistance. It's about removing the friction that's been holding you back all along. When you do that, progress stops being something you chase and becomes something you allow. In the end, running is rarely limited by strength or motivation. It is limited by understanding. When you stop trying to force progress and start creating the right conditions for it, everything changes. Effort becomes purposeful instead of exhausting. Rest becomes productive instead of guilty. And improvement stops feeling like something you chase and starts feeling like something that naturally shows up over time. The deeper lesson goes beyond running. In life, pushing harder isn't always the answer. Growth often comes from clarity, patience, and knowing when to step back so you can move forward with more control. Apply this by choosing intention over urgency and progress over pressure in training, work, and daily life. Now I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you believe progress comes more from pushing harder or from training smarter? Please share your view in the comments so everyone can learn from each other. And if this resonated with you, kindly subscribe to the channel to support RunForce Mindset and help us keep creating meaningful content for you.